Hey everyone, I did not feel like combing my hair today, so I'm wearing a hat. So let's see how far we can get into this voiceover before my cat starts screaming at me. Yeah, this is Dora the Explorer, and Boots and Swiper. Of course, I took some liberties into the way Boots looks. He's now a gorilla, and Swiper is a little bit more realistic as a red fox. So all I'm doing right now is I'm kind of masking in my different characters, which basically means each one's on their own separate layer. I use a lasso tool a lot for this, and then I put in the colors, and then I start blocking in colors. And as you can see, I'm already blocking in basic shapes, and I start working on the grill a little bit. Try to get a sense for where his wrinkles are going to be, and the basic look to him. But yeah, I'm just kind of right now I'm using a texture brush on him. That way it gives a feel for skin. Same with the fur on the gorilla. And I've started to like wrinkles a lot more, which is probably why I started going after him earlier than any of the other characters. But then I'm just kind of throwing in colors for Dora. You'll see she looks like mega dark, and I think I seem to do that. I work a lot dark to light. Sometimes I'll go back and forth from light to dark and whatnot, but what I notice about me, especially with skin, I seem to go darker to light, and then I may have to darken it out later. Brush wise, I'm using like a texture brush and a round brush right now. Right there's the round brush, there's a texture brush, and there's some leaves in the background. And I just kind of throw those in. Those don't even stay. That background doesn't even look like that at the end, but I just throw them in. That way I have something. I knew I wanted her kind of in around trees and everything, but I wasn't really sure what direction I was going to go with it. And once again, it's a round brush that I'm using on her face to kind of smooth it out a little bit. Actually, this ain't a round brush. It's got a little bit of texture to it. Not a whole lot. It's similar to a round brush if you keep blending, but yeah, there's a little bit of texture to that. I've said it in some of my other tutorials that with painting, it's just you're layering everything. Everything kind of keeps going on top of each other, and you see through to that other layer underneath it. And so texture brush allows you to do that. But with skin, I start rough, and then I smooth it out, and then I try to add texture to it later. So just working on the nose here. I think now I'm on a round brush. I do, when it comes to faces, like female faces, I'll use the round brush, and I'll use a smudge tool to smooth it out. You'll see me kind of going into my brushes, and I'm trying to figure out, do I want to use a different brush for certain things? And I do. Whenever I paint, I don't like staying on one thing. I like trying out different brushes, and so that's really what I'm doing here. Didn't like her face, used the liquify. What I do with, instead of just hitting liquify, I will use my lasso tool, and I'll select the area that I want to liquefy. That way it kind of zooms into that area. So say for instance, Dora herself is on one layer. If I hit liquefy, it'll bring up that whole layer inside of the liquefy tool, which I don't need that if I'm just going to be working on her face. So I use my lasso tool, I select the area of her face, and then I go into liquify, and that's where it kind of looks like that red around her face. That's how you get that within the liquify tool. Trying to figure out the lighting right here on her nose. Oh, I don't like her nose. I keep kind of messing around with it, and once again, that's that liquify. You see the red around her face, That's because I used that selection, the lasso selection, before I went into the liquify tool. Messing with their eyes. I end up messing with those quite a bit. I like them right there. They're really pretty. They're bright and everything, but I thought they ended up being too bright, so I ended up going back and darkening them. Yes, it's coffee. It's okay. It's not other things. And then messing with Swiper a little bit. This is a texture tool, just to kind of get that fur kind of feel to it. I actually like doing Swiper. I think he's the first fox that I've done, so it gave me a chance to play with some different brushes and things like that I haven't necessarily used. So I like to play, like I said before, I like to play with brushes. There I was adding a little bit of red to Dora, her face. I did it kind of odd. If you look at my my layers over there, I did it by putting a whole pinkish layer inside of the as its own layer. So I just used my paint bucket tool and put the pink in there, and then I masked it. So I basically deleted the whole thing, and then I slowly kind of painted in the pink. So it just made it easier to kind of go in and out. I saw another artist do that for a lot of his painting, but I want to try it for a little bit of this one, and I may end up doing a tutorial for it, but it worked out pretty good. It allowed me to kind of put in and take away rather easily, so it's a pretty neat technique. Messing with Swiper's eyes. What I noticed about a lot of my drawings is my drawings don't always end up exactly as my drawings. I get into the painting and the exact drawing is gone, and I just kind of let me jump into this real quick. Here I'm using textures. I got some fur textures off of I think it was called cgtextures.com, but now it might be just called textures.com. And anyway, I'm getting textures and putting them in, and I almost erase everything. You'll see it, I erase it down, and then I take the opacity way low. So anytime that you're using textures, it's not an end-all be-all. You put the texture on and it's done. I'm not even close to the end of this fox, but what it does is kind of gives you that base. So I put the textures in. It gives me a little bit of that texture, the fur texture. It gives me that bit of that base, and then you'll see me. I just go crazy on him, still painting over top of him. Excuse me. And yeah, you'll see me just continue painting, but that's all the texture does is give me a base. I do the same thing with the gorilla. I use an elephant texture right there, and it helped give me a base for some wrinkles. Same with some fur, but then once again, after I'm done with that, paint over top, so you can kind of create that realism, because the texture itself, it doesn't do everything for you. So with the textures, I put them in, I mess with the opacity, I mess with the exposure, and now you see me, I'm painting over top of that texture. I'm giving some secondary light source to him. And he's starting to pop out now. That's one of the points of painting that I like to do a lot, is I like getting that secondary light in there. Sometimes I think I rush it too soon. I might have on this one as well, but I don't know. It makes me feel better about the painting. Is that a good description? I'm not sure, but yeah, I really like adding that secondary light. Getting into his eyes a little bit. And what you don't see is I have, I'm painting this on my Yiynova. But on my Mac, I have reference images. So I have gorilla references, I have fox references, and I have Dora references. So I'm not doing this all out of imagination. For the people who can do that, that's wonderful. But for me, I don't have a gorilla absolutely memorized. I don't see one all the time, and I don't have a fox absolutely memorized. And these are the first times I've actually painted either one. So for me, I needed reference, and I don't think you should be embarrassed by needing reference. It's there, use it, right? Besides, how are you going to get Dora's shirt the right color or her backpack the right color? That doesn't make any sense. And then even a texture for the map, you'll see. And once again, painting over top of it. Here I'm trying out different things. I was kind of thinking about making the map glow a bunch, and I revisit that a few times because I kind of wanted to make the map almost magical, and it never really works out. So and that's almost not trying to make it look good. I was just trying to throw in colors to see what it would look like, and it just never worked out, and I never liked it, and what have you. So I'm throwing another texture in on the map, and then you'll see me paint right back over top of it. So it just helps to kind of give it that look. Mess with the hands. Using my lasso tool, just move the fingers around to give it the right shape that I want. Same with the arm. Surprised my dog isn't squeaking in the kitchen right now. I have him in there while I'm doing this. Here comes one of my cats. I'm sure he'll yell at me in a second. Texture for her shirt. I used to try to get some wrinkles, and same goes for this. Paint over top of it. I wasn't sure about her size, so I was kind of manipulating if I wanted her larger or smaller. Putting in some leaves. I blur them out. In order to get to that, you go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur. That's what I was using for those leaves. Giving her some eyebrows. Hair is one of those things where it can be fun and it can be absolutely horrible at the same time, because you get it at one point where you're like, kind of like it, and then you keep messing with it, and I destroyed it, and it's not that great. This painting took me a few days to do because, you know, life comes into play, and you get phone calls, and you have to go somewhere, you have to help somebody with their car. So this painting actually took me a few days because of that. The amount of time, I don't know, 9-ish, 10-ish hours, somewhere around there. So I'm putting a secondary light on the fox. I wanted him to kind of look a little bit more menacing. That's why I didn't just give him like a rim light of blue. I wanted that blue to kind of come in onto his face, so it made him look a bit more, like I was saying, sinister, because that's what Swiper is. Swiper's a mean little thing. Of course, you know, it's a cartoon, so Swiper's not mega mean, but in this I wanted kind of a more realistic feel to it, you know, where Swiper was a bit more mean. And of course I took that liberty with Boots, so Boots is slightly bigger, but I thought, you know, if this were a movie, how is Dora going to protect herself out in the wilderness? So that was kind of my thought process behind that. Is Boots going to be able to protect her if, you know, there's some villains, or even Swiper, a fox, is going to come into play? So I thought a gorilla could protect Dora if she needed it, and so that was the idea behind Boots. Here I start messing with, as you can see, I took away the leaves, and I decided on making the sunlight come in, and eventually I put some rays in as well to kind of come past Dora's head and what have you, but that orange kind of goes away. I do like that orange though. I was kind of going back and forth if I should leave it like that or not, but yeah. I think I went back and forth about Dora's skin as well. I think the skin tone was too light, and so I go back in it and try to darken it a little bit. But we'll see that in a minute. messing with Boots' fur. Blurred it out as well. I didn't want that to be really detailed. Dora's going to be more detailed right there because she's in front of Boots. So I did work on her hair a bit more than that fur. Gave her freckles. Have a freckle brush, put it on, erase it off, lower the opacity, get another layer, put it on, erase it off, lower the opacity. It's not something that you're going to see a lot of, but it's another one of those things that adds detail to the character. Adding some little rips in the map. I actually had a lot of fun on this painting. I enjoyed doing it because it was a challenge, and I tried new things. I try new things in all of my paintings. You know, I honestly don't do this same exact thing in every painting, which, you know, that keeps it fresh and it allows me to learn more techniques that other artists use. So that's fun for me to do that. Kind of like the thing I was telling you about, how I added that paint to her skin. This is where I'm trying to figure out how to darken her skin tone a little bit, because I thought it was too light. So I'm trying a bunch of different things to darken it, and right there you can see it's gotten a lot more tan, I guess you'd call it, than it was before. So I was getting closer to where I wanted to be. Of course, anytime you change that skin tone, then you gotta mess with the lips, so I had to do that as well. I think I'm using a chalk brush right here. Like I said, I use different brushes, so soft brush overlay to get kind of that yellow from the sun. I know the sun's behind, but you got to figure out all the bounce light that's going to be hitting her in the face. It's going to be bouncing off other things as well. Or you can totally tell me I'm full of crap, and you can just consider it artist preference. How's that? And there's that little kind of rim lighting, the secondary light. I love to do so much. To me, it makes whatever you're painting pop out. And then getting in there on Boots again, adding some of that yellow sun. And here's where I'm starting to add the rays of light coming in. I used like a spatter brush, and I did a radial zoom, I think it was. And when it zoomed out, I may have even had to blur it, and then I used a cloud brush, and I would erase into it, and it would kind of give you that look of sunlight coming in. Once again, it's not an end-all to be-all. I think I go back and do some either overlays or hard light to get the right color that I was looking for. Adjusting her sleeve, Swiper's face. I kept messing with Swiper's face. It just wasn't looking right to me for a while. Working on that backpack, brightness, and I think that's about it. So that's it for Dora, and my cats are over there like going nuts right now. So if you hear "row," that's what's going on. Anyway, that's it for Dora. Here's the final of Dora. You can see what I've done here is around here and here. I've kind of added a little bit of, I guess you might say, a little magical sparkles, because I was thinking about doing some sort of glow on the map anyway. What else have I done? I added a little bit of leaves here. Just kind of bring... my whole curtain on my closet just collapsed because of the cats. So, and I think they're inside of it. They are. Both of them are trapped inside. Okay. So anyway, that's pretty much it for Dora. Let me know if you guys have any thoughts about the video. If you'd like to hear some more things that I didn't hit on. If you like the video, I hope you hit like. If you don't like it, hit that you don't like it. And I hope you guys will subscribe if you haven't already. And if you want to support me more in my art, I have a Patreon and a Gumroad page. Other than that, guys, I appreciate your time. Take care.